Magandang umaga po. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is my great honor to be here as a Japanese who invaded the Philippines 75 years ago. First of all, I would like to share my personal experience back in the year 2000 when I was a university student in Japan. My professor, Mr. Amemiya, wanted his student to be exposed to the reality of the war, what happened here in the Philippines. So he had been bringing Japanese students every year for about 20 years, and I was the 14th batch in the year 2000. It was really life-changing experience for me. I've met so sad stories. One lady came up to me and said, "I didn't want to see any Japanese. Why you came here?" Her husband was captured by a Japanese soldier and never came back. She had anger and hatred in her heart. And the other day, we visited a mayor's office in Isabela City. While we introduced ourselves and we were explaining the purpose of the visit, the mayor, Emilio Montalvo, was full in tears. And he said he was the victim of the Battle of Manila. His father was bayoneted in front of him and died. And also his families and relatives were killed in front of him. It was really heartbreaking to know the reality of the war. Of course, we had preliminary studies in Japan and learned what happened here in the Philippines, but the reality was more cruel than what we had imagined. After the trip, when I came back to Japan, I decided to meet former soldiers who were stationed here in the Philippines because I wanted to know why they were so cruel. I've been interviewing more than 300 Japanese soldiers in Japan, and some of them really regretted what they had done. Some of them said they still have nightmares. I thought the war makes men crazy. Unfortunately, today we do not represent the Japanese government and not being directly responsible for all those crimes. Nonetheless, we, as their descendants, would like to apologize to you humbly for what our fathers did. And last, I need to talk about Mr. Edgar Cron and James Lipton, who passed away last year. It is really sad to know the news for me because I met him in the year 2007, and he taught me a lot. He taught me about the Battle of Manila and the cruelty of the war. And of course, I have to mention about Ambassador Rocha, who passed away in 2015. And of course, other prominent people who had to go through the war. If they were here, maybe they might ask me, please don't forget the tragedy. So not to forget the tragedy, I believe the education is the key. We Bridge for Peace is trying to educate the Japanese younger generation back in Japan. I've been organizing this organization, now it's 15 years now, and many young Japanese generations started to join this advocacy. Some of them became teachers, and the others became newspaper reporters saying that they would like to pass on the history. Not yet, but maybe in the future, one of them might become a government officer, and I hope in the future they will come here to officially apologize as a Japanese government. That is also my hope. And I would like to see the world without any war in any country. Maraming salamat po. Thank you very much.
Thank you for all those short messages. Now we move to the keynote address, and we are very honored, we are very grateful that Secretary Bernadette Romulo Puyat was able to give time, or find time for us. So may I call on Secretary Puyat for the keynote address.